want to transition from our unit of design and construction, which is the quad shape, into the larger conversation, which is really the most important for a modeler, which is the concept of EdgeFlow. And you hear a lot about it in CG, and there's a reason why over the years it's becoming more and more formalized in terms of the language and in terms of how people look at surface to be able to describe complicated surfaces in efficient ways using this quad shape. Basically, the concept of EdgeFlow represents the actual structure of your 3D model thoughtfully laid out with edges. And when you start thinking about it, when you start looking at the form, there's a direct relationship between the way a model renders with some level of quality and the proper use of your edges to be able to get these forms to render beautifully. So your edges should always be following the contours of a 3D surface in a logical way. And when you look at this model on the left, when it renders, and then you look at the way the edges are shaped in such a way to be able to change direction and catch light in a certain way, you can see that there is a method and to the way these have been organized. And it becomes really important to a modeler to understand where and how he lays out edges to be able to best take advantage of what Maya likes in terms of topology. Now there is a precedence to this, the concept of EdgeFlow in 2D. We've been, believe it or not, in the animation business long before there were CG. The history of drawing, the history of classical drawing, artists have been using the concept of, I don't know if it's about an edge loop, but we call them construction lines, to help properly describe 3D form on a flat surface. One of the hallmarks of an artist that draws well or can animate well is his understanding of being able to kind of challenge that illusion, to challenge the 2D space and make it believable. The act of seeing around or through a 3D form is basically an artist's attempt to try to understand the volume of that form. So when you start looking at models, you start looking at smart, efficient wireframes that can create the logical construction of a 3D form. So your edges should make sense. They should be lining up with what's going on in the form. And by definition, an edge loop is basically a series of edges that travel around 3D objects form, and the edge of that line encounters its beginning. So basically, it ends where it starts. A lot of times you use edge loops to sort of mark off sections of your model that you want to say, this is a change of direction. This is an area that becomes this important part of the model. This circular loop is helping me describe form in key parts of that model. So basically, when you're kind of building hard surface or character models, you're always looking at ways of using EdgeFlow and edge loops to be able to properly describe 3D form. This model has both organic characteristics and hard surface characteristics, and both are benefited by thoughtful edge loops in the modeling.